Today I thought that I will actually start with the questions because last time my team gave me feedback saying, Shweta, you get so excited about the training and sales process and everything. And I'm like, yes. It was only supposed to be for 10 minutes, so I said yes. So this time I'm not going to start with any training capsule. We will start with questions. So you have time to, ask your burning questions and hopefully we can give you some input. And maybe on the back of that, we can also have a little bit of training capsule if relevant. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, super. So, why don't you just reflect on this for maybe 10 seconds or so, and then unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can type it in the chat box. So again, team, remember, this is our growth huddle, and the objective is that we stay on track as far as our targets are concerned, our key objectives are concerned. We are literally finishing first month of the quarter, about to finish. So it's also a good idea to take stock of things and saying, how are we trending? Where am I getting stuck? What's negative resistance? What do I need to ask? What do I need to leverage? And then you're getting ready for the next month, which is around the corner. Anyone has got a question? Burning question or thought, a question. Yes, Eleanor, go for it.
So we're having problems with email deliverability at the moment. And we've been told very conflicting advice that getting a VPN will help us with our email deliverability. And then because it changes our IP, and then other companies have said that it will actually make it worse. So I'm not sure what to do about our email deliverability because basically it was fine until everyone started mail merging too much, and then it ruined our IP address. So we changed the IP address, but it's still fragile, and we've had to go to action resending, which is just taking so much time and money and effort. So it's a bit of a mess.
So just frame your question again, Eleanor. So what's the question?
Does a VPN help with email deliverability or not?
Okay.
So I mean, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So does a VPN help with email deliverability or not?
Cool. This is very technical question. So
yeah,
anyone who has that
I don't
Absolutely
know.
no idea.
Yeah, I don't know, but I have had some problems with emails being delivered because Microsoft made some adjustments recently, and we had to update a DMARC. I don't know what on earth that is either. But yeah, there's certainly something going on with IP addresses and getting emails to customers. But beyond that, I can't help you.
Okay, thank you.
Elena, are you mass emailing? Are you doing a lot of emailing outbound?
Quite a lot of emailing, yeah.
Okay, that might be it, where it's kind of being blocked. But what we've done with some previous companies before is essentially set up a different email for outbound. Because obviously the more people that tag your emails as potential spam, that's going to affect your emails being delivered. I'm welcome to send you some details that we can kind of have a chat afterwards if you like. But essentially what you do is you make a small change in your email. So if you were growthidea.co.uk, you might put something before the growth idea, or a dot outbound or dot out, or it's just something to differentiate it. So if it does get blocked, you can kind of then move away from that and move to another one. But your reply to address would be your normal email address.
Yeah, well, when we changed the email address, because we hadn't changed the IP when that first happened, we changed the email address, but because the IP wasn't good, then it didn't make any difference. So, and when we changed the email address at the same time as the IP address, then it got better. But yeah, it now still feels very fragile. So we did try changing.
Yeah, let me try to help here. So just in March, there are a few changes with email deliverability globally. Microsoft and Google are enforcing very strict rules. So yes, DMARC and SPIF have to be done very compliant. What it does essentially is everything is tied to GDPR. So there are many, many layers and levels and legs of this. One is your email sending platform, and there's some sort of programming, integration, or setup that needs to be done by an IT professional. That's the first leg. The other is your website. There's something called cookie consent policies, and it's currently being enforced So, for example, if you just change your IP address, right, as one thing, because your website is still the same website, right, it would bring up conflicts very quickly and you get shut down very quickly. But to your original question, would the VPN solve the problem? The answer is no. It will solve it very temporarily, and then you get into more trouble. Absolutely correct. Your setup for your email deliverability has to be done very properly, and that's where you need an IT person to advise. Sure, if it's okay, maybe I can get on a call with her and look at this, just kind of investigate what's going on, and I can give good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same for you, Greg. If you have any contacts in IT, then please just make sure that the experts are speaking to Elena and Jane on this matter. Rob, let's pick your brain. Thanks,
Yeah,
Debo.
so there's a tool called MX Toolbox. So I don't know if you've used that, but that you can put your IP address or your domain in there, and that will actually do a blacklist lookup, and it will indicate where it's been blacklisted, and then it'll advise the process of getting it unblacklisted.
Yeah, I think we do that quite regularly, but then just randomly we had some Spanish site blacklist us a couple of days ago, so everything started bouncing back. But as far as I'm aware, we've done the DMARC and the SDIF thing, haven't we? Yeah. That's all been done. Cookie policy, I need to look into. Yeah, I think so. I think we do need some help with it. But even the IT guys are saying exactly the opposite thing. We've spoken to loads of IT companies; they're all arguing with each other. So it's quite difficult.
Yeah. Just to add to that, there's always a challenge between IT and marketing. What IT thinks is right isn't necessarily what works for marketing. So there's always been that challenge in the IT/marketing space. Well, this is a marketing problem, but you need an IT person to resolve it. That's where it's a bit of a challenge. So it has to be marketing led, but IT solved.
Okay,
so if you could just take it offline, that'll be amazing. Then
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Super. Thank you. Some education there for me as well. Amazing. Good stuff. All right. So, Rob, I think you had raised your hand with a question.
Yep. So we are looking to go down the South Africa route for our next hire, who will be a marketing support, so for clients. I've watched the training on the academy, so I'd just be interested if there's anyone on screen who's been down this route and has got any learnings from their experience that could potentially help.
Cool.
Hi there. Hi, Rob. Yeah, so we did that this time last year. We hired 2 marketeers, and I think our learnings from it is with South Africa is that it's got to be very process driven, the job that you're giving them, and also that it needs to be very simple and straightforward. So I wouldn't spend loads of time training them, doing loads and loads of training with them, training them the whole job. I would just train them initially one thread of the job that you want them to do, and to see how they get on with that. And obviously, I think you probably know all about the generators and in terms of that, they're working with that as well. But sadly for us, it didn't work as well. But I think it was more what we wanted them to do wasn't simple and sort of straightforward.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you.
Sorry, I'll just add to that as well, because we did different types of job. It was less marketing and a different type of job. I would say that you need to overly communicate and set very clear expectations from the beginning of how much you want them to touch base and communicate what they're doing, because it's not the same as just a remote in the UK. It's harder. But one of the things we learned was set the expectations that I would like you to touch base with me X number of times a day, show me what you've done, etc. It is quite a lot of management time. But but then that does depend on the job that Jane said. If it's very simple, you've got systems, maybe you could see it that way. And Google Docs are very useful for that.
And one other thing I would do would be to make sure you get someone with spot on experience as you possibly can. I know that sounds obvious, but where it's worked is where we've the person that we've still got, we've got one person left in South Africa. I don't know how many we've hired. 8, yeah. That it's a person with the experience. That's the exact experience. A conference producer in South Africa. That's what's worked for us, Rob.
Right. Okay. So based on that, would you suggest? So there's 3 different areas to the role that we're looking to recruit. So it'd be quite a high-end marketing role. Based on what's been said, would we be better going for one specialism for one role and maybe having a part-time role for each and a different person for each specific area?
So, if I may just jump in there, Jane, sorry, if you just unmute yourself, please. Jane, just unmute yourself, please. Is she talking to us or to Elena? Okay. Jane, just unmute yourself, please. No idea. Okay. Ronald, do you mind just switching on your video, please? Same for you, Ian. Just switch on your video. All right. So, Rob, I have a slightly different viewpoint on this. And this is, again, to benefit everyone from our experience. We have been looking at the right kind of talent from South Africa very actively since actually the last year. And Ronelle, who is on the call right now, Ronelle, if you just say hi to everyone, she is sitting right now in South Africa, facing a beautiful beach and hopefully amazing sunshine. So that's what she shows us all the time when we have our meeting with her. So, but I would want Ronelle to say something on this topic, but just before that, so across our different businesses, we have actually got really good talent from South Africa for all kinds of positions, starting from account management, dealing with some very senior corporate clients in our language business, to actually heading finance, to heading HR, to actually doing marketing, specialist roles. Actually, we were also very keen to get some really cool coaches from South Africa, but then we thought our clients would think that we are trying to, I don't know why we are going to South Africa for coaches, the whole perception. So I was like, you know what, let's get a South African coach who's based in UK, which is Greg, actually. He's on the call with that South African twang that he has. Love that accent. So, but so to answer the question, actually, no, our experience is a little different here. So we have looked at all the positions. For us, it's the right person, as Jane said, right? So being very clear, what are you looking at? And there is a really good training on the academy, which we have recently kind of uploaded, that how you should do any recruitment, whether it's South Africa, whether it's European based or UK based, starting with KPI, KSA model. So KPI is key performance indicator. What do you want this person to really deliver? And then defining the whole KSA model, which is knowledge, skills, and attitude. And if you've done a really good job on that, then the benefit of South African market is that there is good talent available. And yes, there is currency leverage. But I've always said this, that we're not trying to save money. We're simply trying to open another talent pool. And if money can work harder and go longer, then that's great. But idea is, are we getting the right person to do that job? There's no compromise on the quality or the talent. It's just that in that budget, you could get more senior people, more talented people, or qualified people. But Ronelle, over to you. If you could just unmute yourself. And yeah, she's part of GI team. And also, I think, across other businesses, you provide your services to. Ronelle, do you want to just say something?
Sure. I think working from home is a fantastic opportunity. I think people will take advantage of it. So with a remote workforce, company culture is still important, and matching the right employee to the right employer is important. So it's not just, oh, the person's not in my office. Culture doesn't matter. Culture fit doesn't matter. Someone who loves their job is going to do their job from home. Doesn't matter. We're adults. We're going to do our job. If I love my job, I'm going to do my job. So culture fit is still important. I consider myself an all-rounder. So I do a lot of things. I get my hands in a lot of things, and I like to do a lot of things. Communication is very important, and that's what I like to emphasize with my managers, with my team, with whoever I'm working with. I try and set really good expectations. I try and keep to my promises. But I think the two main things is that a culture fit is still very outside when you're hiring remote employees, and just extra communication.
Agree with that. Guys, how's the internet? It seemed weak at my end. Is it fine for everyone? Can you hear me? There was a little bit of, yeah,
I think there was a delay from.
Can hear you, Shweta.
you
Yeah,
can hear me.
I could hear everybody else. It was just that, and that's I think people's worry a little bit. Shweta is that
Is the internet connection, right?
internet connection and the downtime and the power outs. You know, I don't know whether if you're trying to have it, and the guys have said that if you've got to have that contact constantly, especially at the beginning, you know, no reflection on the people that are there. Absolutely not at all.
Yeah,
There's some really good talent there, but it's the ability,
It's
it's
the
the technology
infrastructure.
that supports that communication. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's the worry.
That's a worry. And that's what I think, again, which I think Jane and Elena were talking about. So having those generators, power backups, and also we realized people based in Cape Town, they're kind of better in terms of infrastructure compared to other locations in South Africa. So those are more tactical points. But for example, Ronald takes care of graphic design and content writing in the group and in the business, right? So again, it's just go with more KPI, KSA model and then see who's the right fit and try not to have any other biases. Have clear thinking in your decision making. Okay. All right. Are there any other points on this or any other questions before we move on? Yep, Lisa.
So on the academy, do you actually have any sort of do you have training for people that are remote as well, learning how to train and how to communicate best? Is there some tools available?
So there is a training on online communication, like
Okay.
especially with remote working. But Lisa, again, remember things are getting quite global and connected. So, for example, we are working. I mean, you guys work with very, very international clients, and your DJs and people are actually all over the world. So, with hybrid working and remote working kicking in since COVID in a big way, this issue is pertinent for people whether based in UK or France or South Africa, anywhere, right? So yes, but there is a training saying that how do you communicate if it's online meeting or online communications are happening? Because yeah, it's a little different when the people are not face to face. You have to be mindful of certain communication styles. And emails do get misinterpreted. So Darren is smiling there. Yeah. It's so much better face to face. Okay, all right. Are we good? Give me other questions. What other questions you have in mind? Rania, is it possible for you to switch on your video, please? Team questions? Much better. Okay. All right. So let's just talk about a couple of things. I wanted to share with you something, and this is again on the back of, it's like sessions that we have as coaches and things which come up across different businesses. I wanted to share with you certain frameworks because recently I've come across that people are asking really good questions based on the business situations. And it's more like, okay, what should I be doing in this situation? And of course, you're trying to deal with that problem and trying to make the right decision. But rather than being intuitive, like literally today, I got an email from a client saying, "Sure, I'm going round and round. I'm going in circles on this matter. Should I be doing this or should I be doing this?" And my attempt really is when these kind of situations arise, I try to lean onto frameworks to help me think objectively rather than go intuitive. So I wanted to share with you some of the frameworks, maybe a couple of frameworks, which could potentially help you in your decision making. Okay. And remember, as business leaders, your role is to make sound decisions. That's what it is. Business happens in those seconds or moments. So let's start with the first one. There is a model called BRAIN. Have you heard of that? Do you remember me talking about this? No? Just write this, BRAIN. Maybe write it vertically, BRAIN. Yeah. So give me a situation, or let's talk about South Africa, right? What Rob said, that South African hire. If I go with a South African hire, then is it the right decision for my business? Now, what happens is when people are making such decisions, or especially high stake decisions, we generally tend to go and rely on our intuition. And intuition is very powerful. I absolutely believe in intuition, right? It's like your sixth sense that's telling you something and you need to listen to it very carefully. However, if your decision is purely based on your gut, then for me, gut also stands for something. So you might just want to write that down, GUT. And remind yourself of this. Does anyone remember my acronym, GUT? Someone, come on. Rob, you're smiling at
I'm
me.
guessing the first word's garbage.
No. Gut is not garbage. But gut is gave up thinking. Gave up thinking. It's intuitive, right? You're not really thinking. You're not being rational. You're not being objective. You're just like flipping a coin and hoping that it will land the right way. Gut is gave up thinking. And you need to be aware of that, saying, I'm basing it on my gut, I'm taking a chance, I'm flipping a coin here. Then what's A for?
Action.
Okay.
No.
So I'll give you this one. So A stands for assumptions. What are the assumptions you're making here? This is a really key point and a very cool point if you think about it, right? Keep trying, Jane. I love that attitude. I love that attitude. So just keep trying. Don't make Eleanor make you conscious, right? Just keep at it. You'll get it right. So A is assumptions. What are the assumptions am I making here? And interestingly, when you start jotting down your assumptions, you realize that where are they coming from? Why am I assuming this? Hold on. Do I have the evidence? And it's really interesting. Now, remember, so far, you have looked at benefits, risks, and assumptions. This is all very rational, objective thinking. After this point, you are introducing your powerful intuition. So you've looked at everything, you step back and you say, what's my intuition saying here?
Intuition. Oh, intuition.
Intuition, my pronunciation there. So gut, right? Intuition saying that here. And this is the point where you bring in. And not the other way around. What people do is that they bring their intuition at the top, and then they try to rationalize that gut feeling with their logical thinking. That's narrative, justification. You reverse it. Benefits, risks, assumptions, intuition. And then the final point, N, in your decision making is, and many times it's such a beautiful point. Any guesses? Let's see.
N is the only one I can remember. Was it need?
Nothing. Nothing. That's what it is. Brain stands, the last N is nothing. Nothing to be done. If I don't do anything here, no action, then what? And team, I can assure you, I've done this so many times with clients in our own businesses, and the final point, if I don't do anything, nothing, then what happens? It is amazingly powerful. Why? Because us as business leaders, we are go-getters. For us, it's like action. We have to do something here. We have to act on it. However, and I think I was recently talking with Darren on this, and Amol and I, we remind ourselves of this, is that in business and in life, there are two kinds of situations that happen. One is you have a muddy water situation. The other, you might want to write this down, muddy water situation. And the other one is a leaky ceiling situation, leaky roof. If it's a leaky roof, yeah, not doing anything or nothing is not an option. You need to act. You need to do something. But actually, in life and in business, there are quite a few situations which are simply muddied water situation, which means it requires time. You just need to let it settle. You don't need to act. Not doing anything will allow things to settle and the clearer picture will emerge. So you have to ask yourself this question: is this muddied water? Is this leaky ceiling? Do I need to sleep over it and then look at this tomorrow? Or do I need to send this email today because I can't deal with my emotional state? Am I coming from the place of intuition, or have I actually looked at the benefits, risks, and what assumptions am I making here? Hold on. What is the basis of that? But allow yourself to not do anything. At least ask yourself this question, saying, if I don't do anything, what's the implication? Can it wait? Did you enjoy this? Did you like the framework, brain? You see the power of it, right? Yeah. Having some simple frameworks at your disposal, especially as decision makers, business leaders, I assure you, will increase the chances of success of the decision that you would be making. It won't be 50%. You're not flipping a coin. You're trying to make it 70%, 80%. And better questions you ask, more as you peel, better you're going to arrive at the decision making. So brain is a very, very powerful model. In fact, it's used in the medical group, in hospitals, in medical situations, especially when the risks are high, people are emotional, and in fact, it's actually used for birth and delivery. You know, the knots happen, or the last minute crisis happen with fetus or with babies, and then parents are at a different stage. And how do we make decision? I'm saying, yeah, intuitively, let's do this. Yeah, this is better, versus saying, okay, let's go through brain. What do we have to do? Do we need to act on it? Can we wait it out? Is there a time period, a clock ticking? That's the decision-making criteria, which is what I'm sharing with you here. Okay, brain model. Cool. I'll give you one more framework then for today. Okay, I rave about this framework because this happens in pretty much every hour of my life, and I have to make sure I'm not getting sucked into it. Are you aware of something called drama triangle model? I love this one. Yeah, Rob? Yeah, do you mind, Ian, not ringing any bell? Drama triangle. Oh my God, you'll be like, Shweta, this is so cool. Rob, do you want to explain? Or Elena, whoever remembers it?
Yeah, I've got it printed on my notice board. So it should be easy.
Go for it.
So there's the three corners to the drama triangle is the rescuer, the persecutor, and the victim.
So draw this. Draw a triangle, okay? And you should put somewhere on the wall or just imprint it in your head. This is so cool. Yeah. So go slow, Rob. You're coaching right now. You're teaching. So
Okay.
Let people write that down, right? So victim, persecutor,
Rescuer and
and
persecutor.
rescuer. Yeah, my superheroes. Yes.
So as adults, it's very easy to step out of that adult frame of mind and jump into one of these corners, whether it's with your kids or your team. So I think the reason this is printed on my wall is because I'm a rescuer. I'm a problem solver, so I like jumping in and rescuing. So it's about being conscious of, by becoming a rescuer, you then, I guess, automatically put the other person as a victim, where I think the awareness is around trying to stay in the middle of the 3 points, so that if somebody's coming to me as a victim, I'm not trying to rescue them, I'm trying to help them rescue themselves in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
that
then
makes sense.
and then persecutor is, instead of rescuing them, blaming them, criticizing them, not helping them.
Punishing them. Yes, criticizing
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Cool.
So a few points on here. So rescuer is, let me help you, I'll do that. Let's not fight, I feel bad for you. Victim is, examples of victim is, poor me, I'm not responsible, I don't know what to do, they don't like me. And then examples of going into the persecutor state is, it's your fault, what were you thinking, why did you do that, and what's your problem? So I suppose the awareness of this is trying to maintain balanced and centered in between all the points, so you aren't jumping into any of those states.
Cool. And happens so much with kids and with our spouses. Just to give a quick example, just imagine like you go home, you're speaking to your partner, husband, wife, whoever the person is, and you just want to share something, not had a good day, you're just sharing. And imagine Amol jumps in, right, and says, yeah, but why would you do that? Like, try to do it like this. And he's trying to rescue me from that situation, thinking I'm a victim. And I'm like, what the hell? I just wanted to share. Why are you giving me advice right now? What have I done? I've just gone and become persecutor. All of a sudden now Amol might be thinking, I was trying to help you here. Why are you being upset with me? Now he's gone from being a rescuer to feeling a victim. And I'm like, oh my God, I hurt him. I'm like, Amol, listen, sorry, I didn't mean like that. Now I'm trying to rescue him and he's now feeling like a victim. He becomes a persecutor. And the whole effing drama of going like this, like literally, like you go from being a victim, this is what happens. Same with kids. You can imagine this situation, right? But I was trying to help you. Mommy, I don't need your help. It's like boom, 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 boom. And you're like, oh, but you know what? I try so hard and nobody likes me. As a leader, business leader, sometimes team comes to you and they want to share things, right? They're discussing something and there's so many things they're doing at that time. They might just be sensing whether you're validating, whether you have any points. Sometimes they're genuinely seeking solutions and you jump in. I'm the person who's supposed to give a solution if a team member has come to me. What? Who told you have to do that? Like, why would you do that? This is such a common mistake. We as business leaders make such a common mistake. We become parent because we're here to rescue that child. Who told you? What assumption are you making here? Why are you thinking that person needs to be rescued? And when that happens and the person is not wanting to be rescued by you, they then start persecuting you, saying, sorry, I didn't ask you for your help. And then you're like, oh, but I was coming from a good place. And then you become victim. And then everything becomes weird. And then we don't want to have conversations because it's so difficult to have conversations. So the question, does it make sense, team? Can you see what happens, right? I'm making you aware of this because, again, remember, because maybe the positions like Greg and I are where we are actively working with clients, in coaching situations, and you talk about certain situations or issues happening in the business. And many times it could be that you just want to voice it. You just want to think it through. You just want to talk it aloud and just get more perspectives. Doesn't mean you're here wanting to be rescued. You're a capable person, right? Now, I can get sucked into it saying, no, I'll tell you what I need to do, what you need to do here, and straight solution orientation here. When you're like, I'm not seeking solution. So what should one be doing? What should a business leader be doing when you have these situations? How do you come out of this trauma triangle is my question to you. You're going like this. Someone has come to you discussing some important matter and you're like, okay, shall I now give solution or shall I just listen? What should I be doing? Shweta said, don't rescue. So what's the way out where you empower yourself and the other person? That's the framework. So first, understanding you might be getting sucked into this victim, and you could bring your awareness at any time, saying, whoa, I am right now in massive drama triangle. I need to come out of it. Okay, sooner rather than later. But as soon as you become aware of it, how do you come out of it? Think. How do you empower the other person and yourself? A simple question which extracts you.
What do you think?
Very good. That's one of the questions, but I'll give you a different version of that. So what do you want? Not what do you want? Yeah. So imagine a team person has shared something, or your kid is sharing something with you, or your partner is sharing something with you, and you're like, and what else? And what else? And you're actively listening, you're there present with them. You're not assuming anything that I need to rescue. You're saying, okay, so what do you want? Right? And they might say, actually, you know what, I just want to share with you, nothing else. And so many times people will say that if you're genuinely asking, what do you want? I just want to share. Not with an exasperation, saying, so what do you want? No, it's like, what do you want? See, I just want to share. Okay, what's the next question? Imagine they don't say, I just want to share. They say that actually, what I need is clarity, on this matter. Like, how do I go about this particular problem?
What do you want the outcome to be? No.
Okay, so I want clarity on this situation. I'm having an issue. Imagine Steve comes to you and says, I'm having an issue with this particular assistant manager and I need to resolve this conflict.
So
So I
to
just
avoid
want-
the monkey, how are you going to deal with this thing? Or what are you going to do to achieve your outcome?
So now you can ask those questions to get what they are thinking, but I'll give you just two questions. So one, what Ronelle talked about. So the version is, you might want to write this down, saying, what do you want? So what do you want, right? The second question follow through is, how can I help you? How can I help you? That is the main question which extracts you from the drama triangle. Your kid comes to you and saying, Daddy, Mommy, this issue, and you're like, oh, don't worry. You start kind of taking care of that little kid, versus saying, okay, so what do you want? Oh, I don't like school and okay, and what do you think? How can I help you?
At that point, if you can't pull them out of the victim, because people will go on and on and on and on and on, how do you stop them? If they replied, oh, I don't know, and then they go back into the drama as the victim, how do you put a stop to the victim carrying on?
So one thing is, first of all, that they need to be completely, look, it depends. It's all situational, right? So when someone comes to you with an issue and if they say something and you're straight away saying, so what do you want? And how can I help you?
While we're waiting for it to reconnect, something I kind of across as well is, how can I support you? I use that in my personal kind of life, in my personal relationships as well. It's the same type of thing around what you want, but it's kind of just saying, how can I support you through this problem, or how can I support you through this time? Or it's kind of putting it more like that, and I use that with the kids as well.
You're right. How can I support you? But I'll take your awareness to a set of questions which we have talked about. There's a book that we have shared called The Coaching Habit. There's a training on the Academy, which is about 7 essential management questions. And so let's go through the sequence. So Lisa, good question. Someone is sharing things with you. You don't just straight away after their first share say, okay, what do you want and how can I help you? You have to ask a question, and what else? AWE, right? And what else? And what else? You ask this 2-3 times. Once you feel that they have got chance and time to empty themselves and share things with you completely, you feel that you're pretty much covered, then a question which brings the focus to all that victim kind of chat or whatever that venting is. The focus question, the laser question is, so what's the real challenge here for yourself? Because all that the vomit and regurgitation or whatever that was, you're cutting through all that and you say, okay, fine, tell me what's the real challenge here for yourself? And then the next question you're asking is, so what do you want? This is an empowering question. Don't assume that you need to rescue anyone. Take off that pressure off your shoulders. We're all grown-ups here, as Ronelle was pointing out earlier. So what do you want? And then the next question is, how can I help you? And just because you've asked, how can I help you? And whatever the person says doesn't mean you have to do that. If you're not ready or you're not comfortable with that, you can absolutely say that, listen, I'm not so sure if I could do this, but what I could potentially do or help you with is this. Is that okay? And they'll be like, yeah, that'll be great. So remember, you're under no obligation to do whatever the other person is asking. You can step back and then say, but I could do this. But the framework which you have to be aware of to be able to ask these really simple yet very powerful questions, whether it's with your loved one or team member or kid or whoever, is to be aware that you are in that drama triangle. And as soon as you become aware of that, you extract yourself out of it. As soon as you become aware of it, you're going round and round saying, listen, hold on, maybe I'm not clear. Could you tell me what's the real challenge here for yourself? Okay, this is the real challenge here. Okay, what do you want? How can I help you? Make sense? Rania, you can see the benefit, right? Dealing with your amazing 2 boys and clients, team, everyone. So empower people and empower yourself. Yes, Rob.
So The scenario that happens quite a lot for me is either sometimes it's the kids, sometimes it's the team. They ask a question that I know with a single Google search I could find the answer. So for something that simple, would you still go through this process, or is that them playing such a victim? It's just a case of telling them to find the answer themselves.
If somebody's asking, Dad, did you see my glasses? Where are they? And then you say, okay, fine, how can I help you? And what do you want? Tell me more. And yes, and what else? You're like, what the fuck? It's like, where are my glasses? Give me the answer. So if you know the answer, and it's a very tactical kind of a thing, there are no emotions as such involved. Yeah, give the answer.
It's more if they, so quite often it's, I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I know if I did a Google search, like for example, I need to change something in Xero. How do I do that? I'm like, well, I can't remember, but if I Google it, the answer will be the first. It will be there in Google, and they're looking to me to answer that question. It's like, so sometimes I just I've Googled it. Here's the link.
Why would you do that?
Because I'm a rescuer.
Okay, so you're aware that you're a rescuer in that
Yeah.
moment. So then it's really up to you to say, hold on, guys, have you researched it? Have you Googled it?
Yeah.
And then a point comes when my team is very aware of it. So if they have not run the laps and they're just dumping stuff on me, I'm very categorical saying, don't treat me as a dumping ground. That's the last fucking thing you do that with me, okay? I don't say that F word, but I get upset to that level. I'm like, don't do that. You're being lazy. Don't pass on your monkeys to me. Have you researched? Have you tried your best? Then I can add value if I have to. But be very clear about this. You get what you tolerate, Rob. And people are lazy. That's how the nature is. It's inertia. We all want to take the easiest pathway. So people are not doing it with malintentions. It's just how human nature is. And you have to be aware that if you're taking care of all those inertia acts, then what are you not doing that you should be doing? That's where you protect your time and you teach people how to respect your time and their own, skill set.
Can I just add one thing to that? A top tip that I've found. And it's not so much when they're asking a question, it's when they're handing in a piece of work to me. And I just sort of say, is this, just before I spend my time on it, I'm just checking, is this your absolute best effort? There's no mistakes on here because I'm not a proofreader. I haven't got time to proofing. So is this absolutely perfect as best you can get it? And 9 times out of 10, they'll take it back, have another look before they give it to me because it drives me mad. So I'm like, I'm not a proofreader. Do your own work. Exactly. So there's where you can say it in a really nice, friendly way, but it's just say, don't waste my time. I haven't got time. That works for me. Just top tip.
Yeah. One of the clients actually took it to the next. Absolutely great point there, Elena. And then the other thing which another client did was saying, okay, fine, if you think this is good, why don't you go make it live, take it forward, send it to the client. So there was a proposal. So the estimator would bring the work, estimated work to the client for approval and thinking that, there is a maker checker kind of relationship going on. So it's okay. My mistakes will get caught. Exactly what you're talking about, Elena. This time client said, you know what, actually send it to the client, like send it to the prospect. And he was like, but you haven't checked. He's saying, no, I trust you. If you need to check it again and then send it. And the person just stepped up. But this was not day one. This was after proper training, after a few years and saying, now you go and do it. You don't have to start becoming bottleneck or checking, is this your best work? How would you rate it on a scale of 10? But this is, again, for you and, everyone, how we do these little things, they, make a huge difference in our actual results delivery. But great point there, Rob. Does that answer? See, it's the awareness. If you know you're rescuing, then don't do that. And it actually gives you that endorphin and oxytocin kick when you do that little tick and saying, yeah, I researched and I gave it to that guy. Yeah, I'm feeling good about it. The whole thing. It's a wrong habit, wrong precedent you're setting. It's like an umbilical cord being attached and you're not letting the kid wean off. Right?
Yeah, and I think that the comments that you made that you would say to your team, I say in my head, but I don't vocalize it. So I think it is just.
I'm very clear about it. I mean, don't waste my time.
Just getting what I tolerate, which I need to set some boundaries and expectations.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know my team is on the call and they know this, and I tell them that if you're occupying my headspace or my diary for wrong reasons, then it's already a big red flag going for me, big time. Like, we all need to perform and add value in the organization, right? So happy to help, but set the right culture. Good. All right. I just want you to reflect on the things that you've learned today, you've listened to, you've reflected on, and what is it that you can actively implement in your life and in your business. We've looked at a couple of models, brain model. We've looked at very powerful drama triangle, some of the questions which can help you extract from those situations. We've also looked at some very technical questions, VPN and other related questions. So just reflect on it and just jot down what has been your top takeaway. What is it that you need to do better or be more aware of in your business, in your life? Ian, can you unmute yourself and quickly share what's your top takeaway, please?
I think mine was the nothing bit of your brain model there, because I think I'm a bit guilty if of sometimes not procrastinating and not making a decision because it's too hard, but then by doing nothing, nothing changes, which is that's how we move forward.
And actually, and sometimes not doing anything, it's okay. Actually, it's not that important for you to make.
I think I'm more regularly doing nothing when I should be doing something.
Exactly. And remember, in the book Clear Thinking, it talks about one of the defaults, which is inertia default. Right? So being aware that there is a big inertia default that exists for everyone, and we need to be, very mindful of that. Good stuff. Thank you. Darren?
I'm the same with Rob as the case of being the rescuer. So I've actually just, like you have, I've just printed off exactly that. So I think that's a good one to go up. I think understanding myself in a drama triangle is one thing, but understanding my line managers in the drama triangle is probably a little bit more important. And a lot of them are in the drama triangle. And if they then go by those frameworks and go along the route of what do you want help with and how can I help, what's the main challenge, I think that they will actually be able to get out of that triangle and be able to make better decisions themselves. So, it's passing that on, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Good stuff. And Darren, I know you're a hardcore rescuer because that's your nature. That's you.
Look, Kate's hanging up over there and there. It's great.
Yeah, these are all good guys, right? Good people, my rescuers. Yes, I know that. But remember, it's like somebody swimming in the lake. You don't just jump into the lake and start rescuing them. You look for clear signs of saying, help, help. So you have to ask and check in your assumptions, saying, is this person asking for help? Why am I jumping and rescuing here? And the other thing is, the help that you will provide has more value when the other person asks for it and then you do it, rather than you just giving, because then they don't value it. In fact, they get upset. There's a very beautiful Roman saying, very philosophical saying, why are you upset with me? What good did I do to you? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sam?
So actually the triangle was a flashback to my previous employer. Actually, we used to teach that when we were giving employee appraisals and those types of things. So there was a book actually that I must go back and read about having difficult conversations. So that was really good. But I also think I think it was what Eleanor said is this absolutely your best work? And because we're a small business, I sometimes am the bottleneck, so I have to bear that in mind, I think.
Gem of a question. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks, Sam. Jane, do you want to go next? And then I'll go to Elena.
Hi there. Yeah, no, for me, I just popped it on the Slack discussion group. For me, obviously, just a general reminder not to take on other people's problems and to go through those steps again. What's the real challenge here for yourself? So what do you want and how can I help you?
It's a good
I
reminder.
do tend to take things on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Dermot, how about you?
Yeah, mine is, I suppose, the gut, just more logical thinking, I suppose, and being on site a lot of the time as well. You get a lot of questions throughout the day of small, simple, wee problems that they should be able to solve themselves. So, trying to solve them themselves from now on, more or less, without having too much.
Good. And I think a simple habit, if you can have, it's just, I think, See, basic professional courtesy. If somebody's asking you a question, at least ask them, so what are your thoughts on it? You're not trying to play games or delay anything, but just saying, what are your thoughts on it? Because I just believe in leveraging collective intelligence. The other person you have there is an intelligent human being. They are in that situation. I'm sure they've got some thoughts. And then you can build on it, or you can say, oh, that looks good, go with it. I think it makes sense. It just increases their confidence. That's what's required. Just a natural way of thinking and doing things. Good stuff, Dermot. Thank you. Eleanor?
I think for me, it was actually just a really simple question of what do you want? Because most of the time when people are asking me questions or speaking to me, they don't really want me to answer it or anything. I just think it cuts to the quick. So I'm going to really try that. I'm going to try that today. And I think it will just help them clarify their thinking and get on with things a lot quicker.
Yeah.
What do you actually want?
Don't do it.
No, not
So-
what you know. You won't handle that.
So just one quick thing on that. See, look, if somebody's sharing their stuff with you, right, that they're going on and on and on, and then if you say, okay, what do you want? It can come across a little rude question, like you're like little kind of like, yeah, so what do you want? So if you just kind of have another question before that, which is the focus question, saying, okay, I hear you, so that I can understand better what's the real challenge here for yourself. Just soften it a little bit, right? So just so that I can understand better what's the real challenge.
I wasn't going to go, what do you want? What do you want from me? And like, I would have,
You get what I'm saying?
softened it a little bit.
So you're helping them really. So, okay, what's the real
Yeah.
challenge here? Don't just stop there for yourself, right? That's what you're asking. And then you're saying, okay, so what do you want? Tell me. And then you can move on to the next question. So how can I help?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good. Lisa, do you want to talk about your top takeaway? And then Rania, okay, has gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really kind of like being in that drama triangle. I'm definitely a rescuer as well, but I'm also, when I'm a victim, I'm a really, really, really bad victim. So I think it's about learning to articulate what I want and the help that I need, so that I don't keep going on and on and on. Because when I go there, I stay there for a long time.
So, Lisa, I know I'm bringing that. So when you'd ask that question, saying if somebody's in that victim state, what do you do? If they're there for too long, that was your.
No, I'm saying when I'm a rescuer, but I could also be a victim. And when I'm being the victim, it's about me learning to articulate what it is that I want and what it is that I need, rather than just going on and on and on.
Good. And here our very soon 18-year-old son, he's going to be 18 soon in August. He asks such a brutal, tough question. So sometimes as a mom, I end up kind of saying, Vedant, you're not doing this. No. He'll just straight away come in saying, stop complaining. You're not a victim. Tell me what you want. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, at least let me vent a little bit. He's like, stop it. You're not a victim. Tell me what you want. So that self-narrative is also very powerful, reminding yourself, saying, whoa, what am I doing? Why am I being a victim here? What's wrong? And interestingly, rescuers are the ones who become victims, because they are the ones putting in efforts, and then they're not appreciated or acknowledged or whatever. They are kind of subconsciously expecting they obviously end up becoming victim, and then they become persecutors. So it's all interconnected beautifully. We all are. Trust me. It's how quickly you come out of that state. That's the magic. We all are in that drama triangle, but hopefully we don't stay there for too long, right? So team, I hope you found that exciting and interesting and some good reminders. I'll let you get back. And I know some of us are going to be implementing it straight away. Elena is like excited, like, what do you want? Tell me. But yeah, do it the right way. The essence has to be right, remember, which I know you will carry on. And maybe going forward, next Growth Huddle, I'll share a couple other frameworks. And for some of you, if you're using frameworks, bring it to this forum, because this is what gives you solid decision making, not just the answer, but how to deal with the situation in a more objective, thoughtful way is what makes us better. So well done, and thank you for your participation. Have an amazing, amazing rest of the day and the week, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care, guys.
Thanks.